tonight.
The police car, a fire truck, or an ambulance isn't always the right tool for the job.
What a new report has to say about creating a fourth emergency services branch in Winnipeg and how it might function. Also tonight, nowhere to flow.
Has been underwater for 6 weeks and it should be long gone already.
Why some in St. Andrews say the water isn't leaving even though the rain has. Plus,
there's definitely this sort of disquieting enemy at the gate sort of feeling.
A former Winnipegger describes the trepid mood in France as wildfires rage just outside his city.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The City of Winnipeg could soon have yet another emergency response unit to handle mental health calls. A new study commissioned by the mayor recommends a model using community organizations to help people in crisis instead of emergency responders. Standing by live in studio with the details is CTV's Jeff Keel. So Jeff, how would this work?
Eligible 911 calls would be rerouted to a community dispatch system, freeing up police, fire, and paramedics who right now spend thousands of hours a year on these calls. Justin Mannix sees his share of people struggling with mental health issues.
People are just losing their minds. They're yelling and screaming at no one, and the response to that is like very low.
Normally, he says an ambulance or fire truck arrives on scene, but he believes there is a better way.
They need some kind of worker that just deals with the mental health or mental stability of people.
An independent study is recommending the city create another emergency response system to deal with mental health calls, in addition to police, fire, and ambulance. A concept the mayor has been calling for.
It's about getting the right response from the right provider at the right time to meet the need.
The report says this could reroute more than 10,000 911 calls a year, freeing up police, fire, and paramedics. Police say they deal with more than 20,000 well-being checks alone each year. Often officers are stuck at the hospital waiting with a person in crisis.
We just had a very violent weekend. The frustration that they can't be out there doing the work that they're trained to keep our city safe.
Under the plan, eligible 911 calls would be diverted to a community crisis dispatch and hub, which would send mobile teams to provide care as well as follow-up supports. Staff from a number of existing community organizations, like the Downtown Community Safety Partnership, will be tasked with providing the care.
It'll be a service standard to ensure that we can do everything possible to ensure that person's taken care of at the scene and followed up.
The criteria to divert calls includes situations where no criminal act has occurred. There is no weapon or violence. The person is asking for help. No forced entry is required, and there are no injuries or medical concerns.
I've been to many mental health calls, and I can tell you the majority of them are non-violent.
Estimates in the study say this could cost close to $6 million.
Jeff, now that study is done, what happens next?
Gillingham says he will be asking council to endorse the report's recommendations in September and request the province partner with the city to make this happen. In a statement, Minister Bernadette Smith says they are committed to ongoing collaboration with the city, first responders, police, and community partners to ensure the front line is well prepared to support the needs of Manitobans.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Meanwhile, we're learning today the city's police chief intends to move ahead with some type of drug enforcement campaign coming off a 10-day blitz late last month. But Jean Bowers was light on details.
You know, there's a place for enforcement and there's a place for harm reduction, and it's how do we do that together? You know, it's about the people out there and getting them the help that they need, and also it's about the safety of our community, our general community as well.
To that end, the chief says he's had a handful of meetings with local harm reduction groups and has another plan for this week. Without getting into specifics, Bowers says work is underway for the logistics for a plan moving forward. Once those details are in order, he'll release the results of the previous program and plans for the future. The Manitoba government says the province's first supervised drug consumption site will open fully on August 11th. It says its partners at Aboriginal Health and Wellness are currently training staff as part of a gradual opening. The government says the site will be open between Tuesday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. The site will provide drug testing and a space to use drugs, specifically by injection, with staff on hand. There will also be information about addiction support and treatment. The Henry Avenue site has been criticized by some business owners and residents who are concerned about security in the area and access for minors. The province argues it's needed to address a rise in overdose deaths and reduce the number of people openly using drugs. Fallout from extreme storms earlier this summer continues to wreak havoc for farmers just north of Winnipeg. Tonight, some St. Andrews residents still have hundreds of acres underwater. CTV's Joseph Bernacki explains why some farmers are asking the RM and the province to step up and help drain the problem.
That is cattails under good productive farmland, and there'll probably be more in a couple weeks here.
All St. Andrews farmer Alan Olenek can do is watch how floodwater drowns part of this year's soybean crop. Algae has even formed in the field where more than 100 acres was wiped out from rainfall in mid-June.
We had it seeded corner to corner here. There's 180 acres here that was seeded, and as we're standing behind here, I would say about half of it was wiped out here. It's devastating to see this, definitely.
Weeks later, much of that water is still here.
This field behind us over here has been underwater for 6 weeks, and it should be long gone already. And part of the reason is the failing infrastructure, and this storm showed us how fragile it really is.
Proyne and Olenek both farm near Parks Creek, which flows into the Red River. Water has been stagnant here for weeks, and they say the culvert hasn't drained properly in a decade. Now, they are upset that these failures weren't addressed by the RM and the province.
It's an issue for all of us. I agree with the farmers. We've got to move water, but we all have to move together, federal, provincial.
Brent Olenek, CAO for the RM, says they declared a state of emergency last month and filed for disaster financial assistance. He says repairs and remediation are going to take time.
We've been repairing roads. We've been taking out culverts that were there. We've been upsizing them where possible.
CTV News reached out to the province for a response. In a statement, a provincial spokesperson said in part, staff have been meeting with affected municipalities and will be in contact with local officials, including the RM of St. Andrews.
Just in the field behind us, there's a good $120,000 that we lost.
Meantime, canola farmers like Curtis McRae are already cutting their losses.
End of July, we're getting to the real reality of what happened, because now I'm tilling up what should have been real field, beautiful field to be harvesting, and now it's just getting ground into the dirt and getting ready for next year.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, near St. Andrews, Manitoba.
Manitoba has lifted a wildfire evacuation order for residents of a northern community who have been out of their homes for a month. The Manitoba Emergency Management Organization says the fire situation has improved and residents of OPCN can return. The First Nation near South Indian Lake said 600 members left beginning in late June. Wildfires also cut power to the community, but yesterday, Manitoba Hydro said it had restored services. The province says a nearby 17,000 hectare fire is being held. There are 144 wildfires burning in the province, including one out of control. The province is promising safety improvements to a trail in the Whiteshell after the tragic drownings of 2 boys earlier this month. The government plans to install fencing around certain areas covered with slippery rocks at Sturgeon Falls Trail. It also intends to build fences for viewing areas for people to safely appreciate the scenery, along with updated signage warning about rocks and the undertow.
For those folks that are familiar with the site, there's basically the trail kind of leads to a main area, and then there's 2 additional areas on the side. That fence is going to run the entire length of the falls. Anywhere that it was deemed from the parks team that this is the more at-risk areas. The fence is going to wrap along the wooded area that will help kind of corral people to the different sections.
Environment Minister Mike Moyes also says park staff will be reviewing other potentially dangerous areas of other provincial parks to see if any changes are needed. The trail will remain closed until the upgrades are installed. The move comes less than 2 weeks after 10-year-old Maximo O. Ramirez and his older brother, 13-year-old Aaron O. Ramirez, were swept away into the rapids. Well, if you're in Brandon, soon you will be swatting a lot less mosquitoes. The Wheat City passed a motion to move forward with nuisance mosquito fogging this week. The overnight citywide fogging is set to start tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m., weather permitting. The insecticide being used is Delta Guard 20EW. To minimize exposure, residents should stay indoors during and immediately after spraying. All windows and doors should be closed and air conditioning turned off before spraying begins. Swimming pools should also be covered, and any homegrown produce should be washed before eating after fogging. If you want your property excluded, the city is offering a 90-meter buffer zone to those who register. Applicants, however, will only be accepted until tomorrow at 11 a.m. For more information, you can head to brandon.ca. Well, hopefully tonight's hot weather is keeping some of those mosquitoes at bay. Colleen, you're tracking heat warnings over this forecast.
Yeah, they're not going to be knocked down anytime soon, and for good reason. Overnight lows tonight in the 20s. 21 is our forecast low temperature tonight for Winnipeg. And if you thought today was hot, just wait until tomorrow. Even hotter temperatures are in store. Now, I just noticed this on the radar here. One of the last places I want to tell you that there's a thunderstorm occurring, at least by what's showing up here, is close to Dauphin. Yes, Dauphin and Swan River are the two areas in southern Manitoba most likely to see thunderstorms that could become severe tonight. Tomorrow, there's also the risk of thunderstorms with the potential for a tornado, but not where you would necessarily assume. I'll show you where coming up. Quick look at that area under the heat warning, now well up into parts of northern Manitoba and east into northwestern Ontario. The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, it is, well, we have a guest on the screen, 29 degrees in the sunshine with the Humidex. It feels like 38. Winds out of the south-southwest at 11 kilometers an hour. The pressure's dropping. The humidity merely is 62%.
Thanks, Colleen. Out-of-control wildfires have forced more than 200,000 people out of their homes in France. The huge flames are creeping closer to the city of Bordeaux. It's home to a lot of people, including a former Winnipegger. CTV's John Hendricks spoke with him about the danger the area he lives in is now facing.
A disaster is steadily unfolding in France. A massive wildfire has already consumed more than 40,000 hectares, and it's still burning out of control. The situation is not under control, says this firefighter. The fire is still not contained in this area, nor, I suppose, in the others. The fire is burning on the outskirts of Bordeaux, a region known the world over for its wine. It's the home of former Winnipegger Matthew Willis.
There's definitely this sort of disquieting enemy at the gate sort of feeling where people are still here living their lives, but just outside the city, there's, you know, they're saying it's one of the biggest fires that France has seen since the Second World War.
Willis, a writer, moved to the city with his girlfriend 5 years ago. He says 250,000 people have been evacuated there from surrounding towns and villages.
I'm not really sure what will happen if those people will then need to be evacuated elsewhere. So, yeah, where we're supposed to go is we're not quite sure right now.
But Willis says they're nowhere close to that nightmare scenario yet. Firefighters are battling the flames around the clock, including with some indirect help from Canada.
It was really encouraging to hear that they're using the Canadair planes to fight the fire. You know, little bit of national pride for that.
Pride and resolve in the face of a fire that remains quite dangerous. John Hendricks, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And it isn't just France dealing with massive wildfires. Equally dangerous blazes in Spain have forced thousands of people out of their homes there as well. Hearings are underway at the Public Utilities Board over Manitoba Hydro's integrated resource plan. And during his opening statement, President and CEO Alan Danroth told the board the utility is currently managing 8 credible threats towards employees, 5 of which are directed at him personally. According to a transcript of those proceedings, Danroth went on to say in the past year, Hydro employees have been threatened with weapons, including guns on the job, and in a recent incident, a homeowner directed his dogs to attack a meter reader. As a result, he says the Crown Corporation has stepped up security, including through the use of security officers, protective equipment, and other measures. Danroth blamed the hostility on what he described as inaccurate statements and misinformation about Hydro, its programs, and its plans, which he says are eroding public trust and inflaming tensions. Earlier, Dan Roth questioned how, quote, so-called experts with no background in engineering or power systems could claim to know more than the dozens of employees who spent 3 years coming up with the plan, which is now before the PUB. The Manitoba government is launching an external review of the Child and Family Services funding model.
It's really important for us, as we are on this path to jurisdiction, to ensure that we have a good line of sight of the fiscal health of the CFS system.
Families Minister Nahani Fontaine says changes to the child welfare landscape since the single envelope model was introduced in 2019, along with concerns raised by Indigenous leadership and agencies and preliminary results of a financial audit of authorities, have led to the review.
The review will examine the fiscal health and pressures for the CFS system, as well as the financial management practices within the governance structures which support funding decisions and accountability throughout the system.
The results will be used to help make future decisions for CFS. Fontaine hopes to have an independent third party in place before October, with findings of the review made public by the end of 2027. Multiple Manitoba animal rescues are calling on the province to take action and provide sustainable funding to address animal overpopulation and health concerns. Canine Advocacy Manitoba, the Winnipeg Humane Society, and 15 other organizations signed a letter which calls the lack of animal supports in this province a, quote, systemic crisis. The groups are asking for an immediate roundtable meeting with the federal and provincial governments, rescues, and First Nations, along with the creation of an advisory committee. They're also requesting multi-level government funding due to animal overpopulation and public safety being what they call intersecting issues. They want community-led solutions, including supporting access to vet care, spay and neuter services, food education, and more.
This will hopefully open up people's eyes to how bad it is in Manitoba. The rescues, we can't do it ourselves anymore. We are drowning. Every single day we get asked to take animals, dogs and cats, from all over Manitoba, and we're drowning. Even the Humane Society is full. Winnipeg Animal Services is full. All the rescues in Manitoba are full. Like, we can't do it on our own anymore.
The call to action comes following the death of Amanda Nobis, who police say was affiliated with Canine Advocacy Manitoba. She was found dead in Sandy Bay, Ojibwe First Nation, July 17th. The Manitoba First Nations Police Service believes she planned to pick up some puppies from a local resident and was attacked by the owner's dogs. Today, police announced the results of a post-mortem examination, saying her injuries are consistent with a dog attack. Arrangements were made to put down the 2 male dogs. Still to come tonight, is a new trade deal with the U.S. ever going to be in the cards?
It's not because you wish to exacerbate the trade war with tit-for-tat retaliation. That's not working.
New developments and comments from the U.S. president that have some wondering if the prime minister should change his approach. Day on the markets today, crude oil lost more than $3. The loonie rose to 70.91 cents U.S. Gold futures dropped $38. The TSX added 181 points. The Dow Jones jumped 537 points, while the Nasdaq slipped 55 points. As Canada's trade minister arrives in Washington for more talks, the U.S. president is telling Fox News he doesn't care about updating the trade pact with Canada, adding he'd rather be independent. But those CTV's Rachel Aiello spoke to today say Trump's latest jab should be prompting the Canadian government to stop and consider if its current approach with this administration is one that should continue.
So the USMCA, are you looking to update that?
I don't care. I mean, I don't really want to.
U.S. President Donald Trump made it clear today he doesn't really want to renegotiate the trilateral trade pact known on this side of the border as CUSMA.
I'd rather be independent. Here's the thing. Mexico and Canada need us. We don't need them. The deal is important for them. It's not important for us.
This declaration prompting new questions about Canada's ability to get a good deal.
We haven't seen the intensity that a government that is focused on its interests should be bringing to our own North American contact.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and this country's chief trade negotiator are heading back down to D.C. this week for meetings. And this longtime Canada-U.S. relations expert says Trump's latest comments show that this country should be treating this trade war like a war.
It's not because you wish to exacerbate the trade war with tit-for-tat retaliation. That's not working. And it's not that you want to, do something dramatic that'll hurt your own economy. But the U.S. has to be convinced that you're willing to. That's, I think, where we are.
With just 3 weeks left before Trump's 50% tariffs on a range of Canadian exports come into effect, there's little clarity on the minister's game plan.
I think he owes our country some transparency.
And new data indicates the renewed tariff threats are casting a fresh chill on already frozen business investment.
Holding back on business investments today, whether it's investing in machinery and equipment, R&D, or people, means delayed in future growth in wages and productivity later on. And so with all this uncertainty, it's really starting to affect our long-term competitiveness.
LeBlanc's office confirmed to us this afternoon that the minister is now in D.C., but still won't say how long he plans to be there. Asked to respond to Trump's latest salvo and if it hurts their chances of getting a deal, the minister's spokesperson said, quote, "We will not comment on that." Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
A Canadian intern accused of spying for a third country while at NATO military headquarters in Belgium has been denied bail. Officials say the suspect is of Chinese origin. CTV's Judy Trin takes a closer look at what comes next.
A Canadian intern will remain behind bars after being denied bail. The woman is accused of spying at NATO's strategic headquarters in Mons, Belgium, known as SHAPE. The suspect allegedly worked for an unnamed third country and is a member of a criminal organization. NATO interns are usually screened by member countries. In Canada, CSIS and the RCMP would be involved in the vetting.
I don't think it's worrisome.
Dan Stanton, a former CSIS officer, said this could be a counterintelligence operation, and the deliberate disclosure of ethnicity sends a message to the foreign power she's working for.
The way we've uncovered, or we meaning the government or various governments, have uncovered perhaps the modus operandi of an intelligence service and has stopped the further development of what could be a mole or a penetration agent on behalf of another country, let's say China.
SHAPE is the command center for NATO, where the alliance plans its military operations and decides where to move troops and weapons. In a statement, Colonel Martin O'Donnell says there's no indication that NATO or SHAPE operational readiness, command and control, or ongoing tasks have been adversely affected. SHAPE, the supreme headquarters of Allied Powers Europe, hires 35 interns a year. Now that the Canadian woman and alleged spy has been denied bail, she'll have the opportunity to appeal. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Israeli and Ukrainian leaders were in Washington to attend today's funeral for U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham.
He was the first person to make you laugh, and one of the last people that you've really ever wanted to fight. These were the traits that made him into one of the great figures in Senate history.
Lindsey was without a doubt a family man. His world revolved around my mother, his family, and those he considered such, like his lifelong friends, colleagues, staff, and the citizens of South Carolina.
Graham was remembered during the service at Washington National Cathedral as a giant of the U.S. Senate and a true American original. He served on Capitol Hill for more than 30 years. There will also be a service tomorrow in Graham's home state of South Carolina, where he will be laid to rest. The Big Apple is making a major effort to attract more Canadian tourists before the end of the summer. New York City Tourism has come out with a Northern Neighbor deal. It includes 30% off at more than 85 hotels, Broadway shows, attractions, restaurants, and museums. The deal runs from August 18th through to September 7th, and the discount is aimed at helping offset the current exchange rate. Meanwhile, Porter Airlines is also offering 20% off some of its flights to New York City. Canada is New York's second largest international market, with 820,000 visitors expected this year. There has been a powerful magnitude 7.1 earthquake in southern Japan. The full extent of the damage isn't yet known, but there are initial reports of several deaths at the site of a collapsed shopping mall. Numerous power outages and fires have been reported, and many buildings are damaged. More than 150,000 people have been told to go to evacuation centers. Well, despite the cost of many groceries staying steady or even dropping this month, the price of protein is on the rise. New data released by the Agri-Foods Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University found prices in the meat and fish category increased by 6.5%, adding nearly $6 to the average grocery bill. The biggest jump was in the price of bacon, which increased nearly 29%, followed by Atlantic salmon at 26%. However, the price of chicken breast was down nearly 27%. Folks in North Winnipeg will soon have another 2 kilometers of additional trail to walk, bike, and get around on. Local officials, along with representatives from Trails Manitoba and Bike Winnipeg, ceremonially broke ground on Phase 2 of the Northwest Hydro Corridor this afternoon. The trail currently runs almost 3 kilometers from Leela Avenue to Selkirk Avenue, just west of McPhillips. The extension will add roughly a kilometer of trail on either end.
And it's certainly, you know, when we're out on these pathways, when we're out walking on our streets, we're face to face with our neighbors, we're building community, we're helping our families stay together, and it's a wonderful thing to see these activities happen.
The $3 million project also includes new lighting, benches, and offshoot paths. Construction is expected to get underway this summer.
You couldn't see a foot in front of the window. The rain was going sideways.
And when that rain cleared, destruction. Scenes out of the U.S. Midwest following severe storms. We're going to take a closer look after the break.
Warm, even hot temperatures continue throughout the long-range forecast. Thursday, chance of showers with a risk of a thunderstorm, 28 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. Sunny Friday, 29 degrees heading into the August long weekend. If you can believe that's almost around the corner. Well, it is around the corner. Sunshine Saturday and Sunday, 29 on Saturday, 32 our hot high Sunday. Terry Fox Day Monday, that's when we'll get a break from the more extreme heat. 26 degrees with the possibility of thunderstorms.
Tornadoes, heavy rain, and strong winds have left a trail of destruction across the U.S. Midwest. And as Rena Roy reports, Wisconsin and Illinois were hardest hit.
New video shows the widespread damage left behind in Illinois after powerful storms ripped through the Midwest. In the Chicago area, you can see roofs completely torn off, trees toppled over, and debris scattered all over. Heavy rainfall triggering flash flooding and leaving a trail of destruction.
It's like some huge dinosaur just stomped on everything.
In Wisconsin, the National Weather Service preliminarily estimating an EF2 tornado.
Oh my God!
Packing winds of at least 111 miles per hour, hitting the cities of Appleton and Menasha. Power lines toppled, businesses destroyed, including this bakery.
Our whole house started shaking. I thought for sure we were going to meet the Wizard of Oz. You couldn't see a foot in front of the window. The rain was going sideways.
The mayor of Menasha declaring a local state of disaster. Drone video shows entire communities impacted. Home after home flattened to the ground.
I headed down to the basement, and when I come up, it's like a war zone here.
More than 500,000 customers were without power across the region Monday as the storms rolled through. Air travel also impacted, with more than 1,600 flights canceled nationwide. The same system moving east, you can see roads flooded in New Jersey, cars navigating the deep water.
Now, flood watches are in effect today here on the East Coast along the I-95 corridor from Philadelphia to New York. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Back in Canada, and the latest on the wildfires burning in northern Ontario. There are more than 150 active blazes, including the largest in that province's history. The wildfire, dubbed Thunder Bay 36, covers more than 3,000 square kilometers. Recent rainfall has helped slow the flames, but it is still out of control. At least 22 other blazes have also not been contained. Additional crews from Alberta have arrived to help. And over in BC, there are about 135 wildfires, 50 of which are burning out of control. 2 of the blazes merged over the weekend to span nearly 670 square kilometers. Cooler temperatures helped quell fire activity in recent days, but hot, dry, windy weather is expected to return. 25 firefighters from the Yukon have arrived there to help fight the blazes.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
And it's hot out there here tonight and about to get hotter, Colleen.
Tonight, no relief from the heat in much of the province, certainly here in the south. Overnight lows in the 20s in some areas, including here in Winnipeg. Also, no surprise, we're starting to see some thunderstorms start to fire. Now, I want to zoom in. I was pointing out this one off the top of the show. This storm right now is moving right over Ethelbert. So here's Dauphin down here. Be prepared. It is heading in your general direction, not outside the realm of possibility of a thunderstorm in Dauphin later on this evening, and maybe not too long from now. Dauphin and Ethelbert are just a couple of communities that are now under Environment and Climate Change Canada's severe thunderstorm watch for a good swath of southern Manitoba, primarily the Parkland region and into the Interlake there. So do be prepared for the potential for thunderstorms to develop tonight that could become severe. At this point, that storm over Ethelbert is not severe, but it could become so be vigilant out there. As for the heat warnings, well, more areas tonight are under that heat warning than yesterday. Yesterday was pretty much southern Manitoba and east into northwestern Ontario. I'll get to Ontario in just a moment. But tonight, those heat warnings extend well into the north, as far north and even a little further north than Flin Flon. Northwestern Ontario, similarly, under that heat warning tonight. We'll have very warm overnight lows tonight. Hot highs tomorrow, at least here in the southeast, pushing into the mid-30s. That's before you factor in humidex values, which will feel even hotter than that, if it's even possible to feel hotter than that. But there we go. So here's a look at the possibility of some storms popping up tonight. Again, that area, the Parkland region and parts of the Interlake, under a severe thunderstorm watch, at least for now. Otherwise, down here in the south, will clear out into Wednesday morning. Sunshine to start the day here, heating up into the mid-30s. Now, there is the potential, no surprise, of severe thunderstorms tomorrow in Manitoba. Now, an upper ridge of high pressure should hopefully keep severe thunderstorms to a minimum here in the south, but it's northern Manitoba where there's the potential for supercells or even a tornado tomorrow with the atmospheric setup there. You can also see some pretty heavier bands of rain up in the northwest. That will continue to move east as we move throughout the night and into Thursday. That's where we could catch some showers here in Winnipeg and the Red River Valley as we get into the morning hours and maybe even into the afternoon. 21 our warm low tonight with the risk of thunderstorms this evening. 23 for the commute tomorrow morning. 34 in the afternoon. Sunny, likely hazy winds out of the south at about 15 kilometers an hour. Quick swing around the province. Fog is likely in a lot of places in the north tonight, including Gillam, Island Lake, and Thompson down to 12 there. 26 in Thompson. 24 tomorrow in Churchill. Fog overnight across the northwest. Mix of sun and cloud there tomorrow. Most areas going up to 30. In the southwest tonight, best chance of those thunderstorms around Dauphin and Swan River. Look for fog around the region, though, including Brandon, dropping to 18 tonight. Now, there will be sunshine tomorrow around the southwest, but there's a good chance of showers or thunderstorms in Dauphin and Brandon and surrounding regions. Winnipeg in the southeast, a few clouds here, 21. Overnight lows around 20. For the rest of the southeast, and then sunshine or hazy conditions, or a mix of sun and cloud and haze. Highs in the low to mid-30s, and in northwestern Ontario. Best chance of fog tonight is over Fort Frances. Warm overnight around the region. Chance of showers around the region, too, with those hot highs getting into the low 30s. Our first weather photo looks at the sunrise this morning over Lac du Bonnet. That photo was from Jimmy. And from Lac du Bonnet, we take a look now at the sunrise over Lake Winnipeg out at Gimli from Wendy's perspective. Send us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
This is cyclical. It is a seasonal variation that we observe.
Still to come, doctors raise concerns over surging eating disorder cases. The role summer plays in that spike, next in Medical Watch. AIDS experts are warning the fight against HIV is in real danger as funding continues to fall. That alert was sounded as a major international AIDS conference got underway in Rio de Janeiro. And joining me now from Rio to talk about Canada's HIV epidemic is Jody Jollimore, the Executive Director of CADI, Canada's source for HIV and hepatitis C information. Jody, good to speak with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
First, I'm just curious to get your take. Do you agree with this warning that the fight against HIV in our country in particular is also in real danger?
Absolutely. And in fact, we're trending in the wrong direction. The data that we got this week is that globally, new HIV infections are down, which is extremely promising, but that in fact, in Canada, we've seen an increase, and not a small one, 23% over 2 years. So we're really trending in the wrong direction, and that's troubling, but also not totally surprising.
You know, some of this news, you mentioned not surprising, is also not surprising to us here in Manitoba, where I am, because we are seeing some of the highest HIV rates in Canada. In fact, our province has declared a public health emergency over it for the very first time ever. How concerning is that? I mean, after years of work and what we thought was progress being made.
Yeah, and we have made a lot of progress. If you look at these numbers, we're talking about 86%, 91%, 96%, but they don't tell the full story. Of course, that 10 to 15% of Canadians who are not getting tested, who are not getting on treatment, who are not attaining an undetectable viral load, they unfortunately are the Canadians we care the least about. So this is an equity issue. We're talking about gay men, we're talking about Indigenous folks, we're talking about Black folks, people who use substances, and, you know, for a long time, HIV was centered in our urban centers in Canada. Gay men in large urban centers were most at risk. But as HIV changes in Canada, we're seeing new flashpoints, like in Manitoba, and in rural and isolated communities, in Indigenous communities. And often these spaces, these communities don't have the infrastructure that some of the large urban centers have. So they're ill prepared for an infectious disease epidemic like HIV. Many of these smaller communities may not have even a healthcare provider, let alone an HIV organization. So not surprising, but also that's the thing with infectious disease is when you become complacent, when you take your eye off the prize, it will pop up in other places. And we've seen that with syphilis. More recently, we've seen that with measles. So it's no surprise that HIV is having a similar resurgence in some places. And this is all at a time when the federal government is being non-committal about HIV funding. So that's particularly troubling for us.
Yeah, you attribute a lot of this upward trend to stagnant federal funding. Can you explain why?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you and I can both relate that a dollar does not go as far as it used to. And that's the exact same in the HIV sector. The Community Action Fund is the funding mechanism that the federal government uses to get money to frontline and community organizations in the HIV response. And it's remained stagnant for more than 10 years. So obviously the work we were able to do 10, 12 years ago, we're not able to do now. And we see that with organizations, big organizations like ACT in Toronto having to close their doors because of funding. And we'll continue to see that trend if the federal government and their partners in the provinces and territories don't step up to this response.
Can we still end this epidemic by 2030 as, once hoped?
Absolutely. And in fact, it should have already been done. We have all the tools we need in Canada. We're a very wealthy G7 nation, and we're seeing countries like Rwanda and Zimbabwe hit their targets, but not Canada. And for a country that's so proud of its healthcare system, we need to respond to this, and we need to recognize that our healthcare system is not having the same benefits for all Canadians, that some are falling through the cracks. But we have the tools. We need to scale up testing, we need to scale up treatment, and we need to get folks on the medications they need to prevent HIV as well.
Important conversation. Jody, thanks so much for your insight into it tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Doctors are seeing a spike in eating disorders among young people, and they say the problem becomes more common during the summer. CTV's Sweeta Rassi has the details.
Summer is the season many look forward to, but for some, it's the hardest time of the year. Dialogue, a Montreal-based virtual healthcare provider, is seeing a 57% jump in consultations for eating disorders.
It's a problem that is seen most often in the summer.
Dr. Mark Robbins says changes in routine, a lack of school supports, and the pressure of having a beach body explain the rise.
This is cyclical. It is a seasonal variation that we observe.
The numbers are even worse for young people. Consultations are up 73% for people aged 17 to 25. Lise André-Massé at Anorexia and Bulimia Quebec says nearly 300,000 people in the province live with an eating disorder.
We know that the first sign can start at 4 years old.
She says eating disorders can affect anyone. Men, she says, are often more pressured to look muscular, whereas women feel the need to look thin, especially on social media. Last summer, the hashtag Skinny Talk was banned on TikTok because it encouraged eating disorder behaviors.
We reach out to TikTok and say that it's something that should be banned.
Now, if you type Skinny Talk, what comes up are helplines, including one from Anorexia and Bulimia Quebec. But the problem doesn't just go away.
But they reinvent themselves. So the fact that this is there, it's concerning.
Eating disorders are complex and in some cases deadly. And with summer in full swing, experts say reaching out for help is crucial. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuka and Coster Denture Clinic. Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Mark Norman, the Mumbo Jumbo Tour.
A festival on the southeastern shores of Lake Winnipeg is cultivating community.
We're a mashup of a festival, a conference, and a summer camp because people come on out, they camp for the weekend, they make themselves at home on the farm.
That's how the Take Root Festival describes itself. The three-day event brings people together with local food, a market, activities for all ages, and a series of workshops. One of those uses local plants and botanicals to create a bandana.
People are going to be able to connect with the plants and get to know a little bit about what's growing there on the farm and then use them to create some art. And I think that's really important for feeling connected to where you are and feeling a sense of care for the place.
The festival also includes music by Burnstick and Two Crows for Comfort. Organizers hope attendees leave feeling more connected with the natural world and gain homesteader skills they can use in the modern world. The Take Root Festival takes place August 7th through 9th in Thalberg. Well, one of Assiniboine Park's most popular events, pirouettes into the Lyric Theatre this week, and on Monday we got a sneak peek. You're watching the dress rehearsal for the Royal Winnipeg Ballet's annual Ballet in the Park. You'll get a sample of last year's performances and those to come. It's a free event, just bring your lawn chair. Ballet in the Park will also mark 1 year since its artistic director, Christopher Stoll, led his first program for the RWB.
I'm really happy. We premiered a new work called Odyssey back in April by the choreographer Dwight Roden, really important voice in contemporary ballet. He made it for us last year, and we're doing excerpts from that here tonight. And we're also adding a new ballet to our repertoire, a ballet called Who Cares? It's set to all George Gershwin songs.
Now, unfortunately, the RWB announced late this afternoon on social media that tonight's performance has been canceled due to the heat. There are, however, 2 more shows set for tomorrow and Thursday evening. The RWB says to check its social media for updates about those shows. The curtain rises at 6 p.m. for pre-show activities, with the RWB taking the stage at 7. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with The Big Bang Theory. Then at 8, watch the 2 Winnipeg brothers competing on The Amazing Race Canada. And at 9, catch Password. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
They're sure excited to have him back in their arms.
Heading home when a cat that got lost in Virden will be reunited with his family in Hamilton.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Now, we did get to 29 degrees today, but that is nowhere near the record. That holds firm. That was set back on this day in 1951. 36.1 degrees. We'll come closer to that tomorrow. 21 is our warm overnight low tonight. Mostly clear. Sunny, likely hazy Thursday. 34 degrees in the afternoon. 28 Thursday, there's a chance of showers. 29 and abundant sunshine Friday. Then the long weekend, sunny for much of it. 29 Saturday, 32 on Sunday. Then we get a break from the extreme heat just in time for Terry Fox Day on Monday. A high of 26 degrees.
Thanks, Colleen. A Hamilton, Ontario cat's misadventures here in Manitoba are about to come to an end. Goldie will soon be reunited with his family after getting lost in Virden.
For some reason, Goldie got out of her little kennel thing and was gone. And they couldn't wait any longer. They had to get back for work reasons.
Goldie the cat escaped July 11th when his family stopped at Lions Campground for the night during its move across Canada. A few days later, Verdun Animal Control and Westman area lost animals were able to trap him. They then put out a call to find out if someone was flying to Ontario and could help reunite Goldie with his family. And guess what? On Thursday, Sharon Ellerington will be doing just that.
It's pretty exciting to be able to think that you can reunite an animal with their family over 2,000 kilometers away.
Ellerington says she's been in touch with Goldie's family and they are very excited to soon have him back in their arms, especially the 3 young kids of the family.
Yeah. What a handsome
boy! What an adventure Goldie has had.
Yeah.
Just live a peaceful, uneventful life now, Goldie, once you get home in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Come back and visit, though.
Of course.
All right. Have a great night.